Hi everyone, welcome to Carolyn's Farm Kitchen, where we celebrate local farm foods and eating within the season. Today we have a great episode. We're celebrating the three sisters of summer crops. And years ago, Native Americans would plant corn, beans, and summer squash all together in companion plantings, and they all benefited from each other. And that is what's referred to as the three sisters of farming. And we still have local farmers today that plant those crops together for that same benefit. So let's get started. Our first recipe is a stewed summer beans with fresh tomatoes and basil. So we have some beautiful pole beans here. You could use a pole bean or a string bean, any variety. There are all different kinds out there. So purple beans, golden beans, and I'm really just taking the stem off and cutting these into 1-inch pieces. So just a nice rustic chop, fresh garlic. What I love about this dish is that it's few ingredients. So we have 4 or 5 ingredients, and it's really important that they all shine. Just clean flavors. So we have some fresh garlic. Just give that a smash. Pop that out. We're going to finely mince this garlic. And these are stewed beans. I think typically when I cook with string beans, I steam them or keep them really crisp, tender, and fresh. And this is the one instance, the one recipe where I really like to slow cook them with just beautiful garden tomatoes, lots of garlic, olive oil, and fresh basil. And it's just that combination of flavors that is absolutely fantastic. So we have some finely minced garlic here. Nice preheated shallow skillet, medium heat, medium-high heat, good glug of olive oil. Again, few ingredients, but it's quality ingredients. We're going to add our garlic to the skillet, add our beans, and just to give them a little bit of a pre-cook, a pre-saute for a minute or two with the olive oil and the garlic. So I used to grow this variety of bean called the Northeaster, and I absolutely love it. They're giant string beans or green beans, but they grow to 8 to 10 inches long and really wide, and that's in flavorful, and that's when I first started this dish. And I love when you harvest beans. It's hard to see because they grow in with the foliage and it's all the same color. So what I do is shake the pole and the beans just sway like big long fingers right on the plant, and it just makes them easy to harvest. But that particular variety of the Northeaster bean is absolutely one of my favorites. So we're just sauteing the beans and a little bit of garlic and olive oil. And then from there, I have some beautiful garden tomatoes. So these are grape tomatoes. You can use cherry tomatoes. We have some beautiful little sunburst or sun gold. And if they're smaller tomatoes, I really just cut them in half. If you're using some larger varieties, you could give them a coarser chop. This is just a nice rustic farm dish. So after our beans have sauteed for a minute or two in the garlic and oil, we're going to go ahead and add our tomatoes. A generous seasoning of salt and pepper right in the pan. Good pinch of black pepper. And this just bathes all together. Absolutely beautiful dish as well. We'll add a little bit of fresh basil. So we're adding fresh basil to the dish now and then also at the end as well. Just pull out some basil, pick the leaves off. So I love the title of this show, also The Three Sisters, also because I have 3 sisters, 3 wonderful sisters. So I just thought it was a nice little tie-in. And so the premise behind the 3 sisters is that each of the plants benefits one of the others. So for instance, the corn, the tall corn stalks really allow the beans to climb up the corn. Other vegetables contribute nutrients to some of the companion plantings, so that's why they do that. So just going to chop a little bit more basil for when the dish is done, but that's how simple that is. Our beans are cooking in olive oil, garlic, fresh tomatoes, fresh basil. Just have some finely shredded basil. So this is called chiffonade when we finely shred basil. I'll just demonstrate that again. We pinch off some beautiful basil leaves right here. You stack the leaves together, roll them up like a cigar, and then fingertips tucked, and you just slice them very thin, and that's called a chiffonade, which just means finely shredded. So we'll set this basil aside and save it for after our bean stew. So everything in the pan here, if you can see that, absolutely gorgeous. Salt, pepper, olive oil. We're going to turn the heat to medium, just cover this and let that stew. We're just looking for the flavors to meld and develop and for the beans to get tender. Not totally mush, but we do want them tender with the olive oil and the tomatoes and all those wonderful flavors. Our next dish is one of my favorite ways to have corn. So sweet summer corn is definitely a favorite around here. We wait all year in New England just for the corn season to begin. So we are actually making a corn spoon bread. So spoon bread is a cross between cornbread and a pudding, and I love that. It has cheese and eggs, so it's not quite a cornbread, it's not quite a pudding, both of which I love. So this is absolutely a perfect dish. So we have some fresh corn that I've cut off the cob. You'll see this goes together very, very quickly here. Just move our basil. And grab some of this over here. Okay, we're going to start off, we're just going to cook a little bit of onion. So this uses corn, sweet corn, onion, jalapeno. We just want a little bit of diced onion. So maybe half an onion. Cut the end off. Chop this in half. We'll save the other half. Give this a good peel here. Okay, so to finally mince our onion, again, safe. Anytime you work with anything round, you always want to have it flat so that it's not rolling around on the board. I'm going to leave the stem end attached and just make slices down through the onion, but not cutting all the way through. And the onion core actually acts as a handle. Just turn it sideways, finely dice, lay it flat, and this allows you to cut right around the core. Okay. We have a good knob of butter, about 3 tablespoons of butter into our pan. So I have a preheated skillet, medium-high heat. We're going to add our minced onion. I have about 4 ears of fresh corn that I've cut off the cob. So right from the farm, just shucked it, cut it off the cob, and that goes right in with our onions. We just want to soften this and saute this for a couple of minutes. It is going to get baked in the oven, but we just want to give it a little bit of pre-cook, soften the onions, soften the corn. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of heat in this dish in the form of jalapeno. Now, you could definitely omit this. You could add more. I'm just going to use 1 jalapeno here. It is a good idea, if you're not familiar with working with hot peppers, to use gloves and just be careful not to touch your eyes. I'm pretty comfortable working with hot peppers, so I'm going to go right in. So we're just pulling the seeds out. We've cut the pepper in half. You know that the seeds hold a lot of the heat, so you do want to make sure that you remove the seeds when you work with hot peppers if you don't want all of that heat, if you want to be able to control it a little bit. Cut these into thin strips. And then we're going to stack those up and just finely mince these. So we want that nice sweet heat all the way throughout the spoon bread. We just don't want any large pieces that somebody's going to bite into. So a good trick when you're trying to mince something small, whether it's garlic or jalapeno, is to get that second hand off the board where it's safe over the top of the knife. The tip of the knife stays on the board and you just sway back and forth. And that really allows you to get something finely minced without having to worry about that second hand in the way. So our onion and corn are cooking. We're going to add our jalapenos right to that. Just give that a little bit of toss. That smells so delicious, the sweet corn. Okay, while that's cooking, we're actually going to make the rest of the spoon bread. So very, very simple. Uses a little bit of cornmeal, no flour. As I mentioned, this is half pudding and half cornbread. So we're going to start off here. We're going to add our dry ingredients first together, mix it together in a bowl. So we have a half a cup of cornmeal. It goes right into the bowl. We have some salt, black pepper, baking powder, and baking soda. So you can see this gets some leavening from that. We're going to give that a mix together. You really want to pre-mix these dry ingredients just so we don't have to over-mix the mixture when we add the corn and the onion mixture. Separately, we have some eggs. I'm going to grab a couple of eggs right here. So it's dry ingredients, wet ingredients, fantastic farm eggs, of course. I hope you all go out there and check out your local farms and meet your farmers. They're so friendly and they're so passionate about what they do. They love sharing stories and sharing information. And I learned so much, whether it's a mushroom farmer or a cheese farmer. I really just continue my education, and I try to encourage people to do the same thing, is to get out there and meet the folks that are right in your neighborhoods. And there's farms all over here. We're so fortunate in New England to have some fantastic farmers. So while that's cooking, I have a couple of eggs, and then we're going to add some buttermilk. Now, buttermilk just gives a really nice tanginess to this dish. You could use whole milk. It would be absolutely fine. I think the buttermilk just gives it a really nice, extra kicked up flavor. So about a cup of buttermilk. Just get rid of that. And 2 eggs. Then we have our dry ingredients, and our wet ingredients and dry ingredients get combined here. And we just want to mix this until the 2 are combined. So wet and dry blended together. And it'll look lumpy, like a sort of a rough batter, and that's what you want. It's not going to be all pretty and smooth. Just blend the 2 together. And last but not least, we have some local aged cheddar. Use the white cheddar, please. It's a natural cheddar. You just get a really good quality, sharp, extra sharp cheddar. It'll just have even more flavor. So I have about a cup of cheddar cheese here. May add a little bit more. So when this goes into the oven, everything cooks together. The bread mixture bakes with that corn, and all the cheese gets melted and golden brown and absolutely delicious. So we'll add that. So our cheese goes right into that mixture. And then from here, when your corn's done, so our corn and onions and jalapenos, nice and soft. Don't forget we have that great butter that's in there as well. Now, normally I let this cool a couple of minutes just so we're not going super hot right into our egg mixture, because you do want to be careful that the hot mixture won't curdle the eggs. But we're going to go right in and just give it a mix super quick. And you can see this is chunky and loaded with all the good flavors that summer has to offer. Look at that. All mixed together. So it's like half batter, half veggies. From here, this mixture goes into just a greased, shallow baking dish. Any kind of shallow dish would work well. Just see, look at that, gorgeous. And this is pretty flexible. If you want to add some sweet peppers, some chopped fresh herbs to this, would be absolutely delicious. It's like a blank canvas. I love recipes that you can just modify depending what's on season or what's in season or what your favorite flavors are. Again, fresh herbs would be fantastic in this. Just spread that out in an even layer. And then this goes right into the oven. So a 400-degree oven for really only about 20-25 minutes, just until it's baked through and the center is set. So when you shake the pan and it doesn't jiggle too much in the center, then you're good to go. So we'll pop this in our 400-degree oven. Okay. Perfect. Meanwhile, let's check out our beans and see how they're coming along. You definitely don't want to overcook these. Okay, I'm going to turn that up just a little bit. And then our third sister, so to speak, is summer squash or zucchini. And I really wanted to do a favorite recipe. It's bread and butter zucchini pickles. Now we're going to make a refrigerator pickle today, meaning that we'll prepare the pickle. It can just hang out in your fridge for a few weeks and you can enjoy them. But this could also be water bathed and canned, and you could have them on your shelf at home. So just give a quick cleanup. Definitely have to clean as you go. So. I think this is a great way to work with zucchini just because it's one of those surplus crops. So we all know cucumber pickles, cucumbers when they come in your garden or on the farms, they come in volume. And the same is true with zucchini. So that's why I love the idea of making them into pickles. You can give them out as gifts. I think it's just a really nice change up from the cucumbers. So the first thing we want to do is brine our zucchini. I'm going to show you that quick. So I have some washed zucchini here. Just going to slice it pretty thinly. So just trim the end off. Just do nice rounds. Nice little pickled chips that these will be. I love playing around with different pickled vegetables, whether it's radish in early season, cauliflower, zucchini, just change it up. It's a lot of fun. So nice slices of zucchini. These go into a bowl. There you go. And there's a little bit of garlic in this as well. And we're actually going to slice the garlic for this. So for the stewed beans, we mince the garlic, but for the zucchini, we just want to slice it. The reason being, anytime you see a recipe that calls for sliced garlic versus minced garlic, it just means that you want a little milder flavor. So I'm going to give it a little tap just to bust it out of the skin. So when you finely mince garlic, you're releasing more oil, so it's actually much stronger. Whereas if you just thinly slice, it gives off the flavor, but it doesn't overpower. And that's exactly what we want with the pickles. So we have our zucchini and our ice. And then follow me to the freezer here. Our zucchini and our garlic. Sorry. And we're going to add some ice. And this is called brining. And the reason we're adding ice is it actually helps to keep the vegetables crisp. Put that there. Bring this over here. Okay. We also chew. I'm going to add a little bit of pickling salt. I forgot to add that under the ice. A little bit of salt just to dry out the moisture on the summer squash. The reason that you use pickling or canning salt when you can, a lot of people often ask me that, what's the difference between pickling and canning salt and why do you use it? It's because it's the purest form of salt. It doesn't have any impurities, whereas a lot of salt could be iodized. So we toss the zucchini with salt and ice, and that just helps to draw out the moisture and help to keep the pickles crisp. Meanwhile, this is what it looks like, and you can see the zucchini just gets nice and tender. It pulls out all of the moisture. From here, we'll go ahead and drain this, and we want to rinse off most of the salt at this point. So just to rinse off the salt. We're just checking our beans are looking great. Give them a little shake. Smells fantastic. Meanwhile, we're going to make a quick brine mixture. So not to confuse folks, but brining, the term brining is used in two different ways. We're actually brining the zucchini here by tossing with salt and ice, and now we are making a brine to go over our zucchini. So we have cider vinegar, a little bit of brown sugar, white sugar. I love these pickles. They have fantastic flavor. So we have mustard seed, just really, really different. We have some allspice berries, so you can see where this is going. Super nice flavor. Coriander seed. If you are not familiar with coriander, coriander is the seed version of cilantro. So cilantro is the leafy herb that we all know, and coriander is the seed. We have some whole black peppercorns and some curry powder. Absolutely fantastic flavors. Just want to bring this to a quick boil to dissolve the sugars and then add our brined zucchini to the brine. These simmer for about 3 or 4 minutes just to absorb some of the flavors. Pack them into clean canning jars, so just jars that have been sterilized. Just going to give that a little bit of a stir. Let that simmer, and I'll show you some that I have done. So that's simple to make pickles, and then you can have these in your fridge, and they'll last in your fridge for a couple of weeks at least. Always want to keep them covered by the brine though. Let's check out our, ooh, those are looking great. I think I'm going to shut our beans off here. Just pull them off the heat. And I want to show you some pickles that I have ready. Absolutely delicious. So they really just pick up all those wonderful flavors of the curry, the coriander. Look at that, beautiful color. And they get crisp, they stay crisp because we did that ice bath. Look at those, these are fantastic on sandwiches, even on a cheese board with a little bit of cured meats. Gorgeous color, and a great way to use all that summer zucchini. A little bit more, I am definitely trying one of these. Oh my gosh, those are delicious. They're sweet, they're sour. The spices aren't too spicy. Absolutely delicious. Just give a quick wash of my hands. Yum, fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna just shut this off. So I hope you tried making pickles on your own, zucchini pickles. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and taste our beans. So we just want to taste the beans for a final seasoning. Salt, pepper, we're going to add that little bit of extra basil. Tenderness also. Yep, the beans are great tenderness, so they still have a gorgeous green color, but they're tender. And I just want to try a little bit of the juice. We'll do a little bit more, ooh, those are yummy. A little bit more black pepper, a little more salt, and tons of fresh basil. So the key is when you're working with few ingredients, keep them quality, keep them local, but have them in there. So if you're saying there's basil in a dish or garlic in a dish, have it in there. Meaning it's important. Don't be shy on it. Give that a toss. Oh, the tomatoes have cooked down. I can smell the garlic. It smells fantastic. This will go into a nice serving bowl. Oh, look at that. Garden tomatoes, garlic, basil. This is a fantastic side dish. I want to get every last drop. Okay, there you go, look at that. Absolutely delicious. Those are our stewed beans with summer tomatoes and basil. And I think we should head to the oven and check our corn spoon bread. So we're looking for, again, to be fully cooked and set on the outside and in the center. So if you shake the pan and it jiggles in the center, leave it another couple of minutes. Meanwhile, that cheese inside gets nice and golden brown on top. So let's go check that out. Okay, we'll put a little hot plate out here. Let's see. Oh, it looks beautiful. Beautiful. So let's check the center. Yep, the center is no longer jiggly there. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. So that's what you're looking for, folks, is that the spoon bread is set, light golden brown on top from that cheese. And definitely want to dig into that for sure. So let's see what the inside of that looks like. So let's just see. So we'll just cut in, oh, loaded with corn, onions, cheese. It's half pudding. Oh, delicious. Maybe we'll just give a quick taste of that. Let's see. And this just really makes the corn shine. We want it, when you're cooking with farm food, don't overdo it. Keep it simple. It was so sweet and delicious. Delicious. One other thing I wanted to talk about today, if you're wondering what these crazy things are here, are our garlic scapes. So these, I was fortunate to help a local farmer harvest some of these recently. So garlic scapes are the top flowering part of the garlic plant. And in June or early July, these scapes, and this is what they're called, so it's S-C-A-P-E-S. These scapes come off the top of the garlic plant, and farmers to harvest these. They trim them so that the plant doesn't suck all the energy from the bulb. So the garlic bubbles under the ground. It gets harvested later in July, and the scapes are cut earlier. And these are fantastic to use. You can slice them thinly and stir fry them, use them in pesto. And the number one thing I make is garlic scape butter. I make pounds and pounds of butter. I finely mince the scapes either by hand or really in a food processor. So chop all the scapes, whip them with a good quality unsalted butter, roll it into logs if you want parchment logs, and you can freeze them all year long. And so I've done some with this just to show you. It makes the most wonderful butter, and you can have those logs in your freezer until it'll last you a full season. So it's a very short window of time. They're only around for about 4 weeks. So I recommend that you buy some at your farms or farmers markets and use them. Make your own butter. So we're gonna enjoy this on some bread today. But you can see just finely minced scapes whipped with the butter, and it's fantastic on bread. If you steam mussels or clams, you can add it to that. So really just delicious on that. So just to recap our 4 dishes, our 3 sisters. So again, the 3 sisters, it's all about companion planting. And if you're new to gardening or I'm not sure what that is, it's really when farmers plant crops together because they all contribute to each other and they support each other. And the theory is really what grows together goes together. So meaning what grows together and grows in a certain season is what you should be cooking in the kitchen. And we are doing that today. So with the 3 sisters, going back to Native Americans, it's the corn, beans, and summer squash. We have our fantastic sweet corn and cheddar spoon bread, our stewed summer beans with tomatoes and basil and garlic, and then our fantastic bread and butter zucchini pickles with all those wonderful spices, and our garlic scape butter. And the scapes are really just sort of an extra part of the plant, and it's so nice to be able to turn that around and make it into something that you can put up all season long. So I encourage everyone to go out and check out your local farms, meet your farmers, ask them what's in season, and celebrate in the kitchen. Thanks, folks, for joining us, and I look forward to our next time in the farm kitchen. Get out there and happy cooking.